Are you ready to uncover the chilling truths hidden behind one of the most famous hauntings in American history? Get ready, because things are about to get dark. Today, we dive deep into the eerie world of the Conjuring house, exploring the real events and the dark tales that inspired the blockbuster horror series. This isn't just about jump scares and Hollywood special effects. This is about real families, real fear, and the possibility that some forces, once unleashed, can never be contained. Hold on to your seats and crank up the volume because we're about to embark on a terrifying journey into the heart of darkness. This is the true story of the Conjuring house. Roger and Carolyn Perron and their 5 daughters, Andrea, Nancy, Christine, Cindy, and April, relocated to the historic Arnold estate in Harrisville, Rhode Island, in January 1971. They saw the 14-bedroom house and its vast 200-acre land as a perfect setting to bring up their children. When the home seller handed over the keys to the Perron family, he simply told them to keep the lights on. Initially confused by this instruction, the family soon discovered its significance. As they battled a snowstorm on moving day, the Perrons began to have strange encounters in their new home. Andrea Perron, who was only 12 at that time, was given a big box by her father to take to the kitchen. While heading to the dining room, she encountered a strangely dressed man whom she greeted politely. Upon inquiring about the man to her mother in the kitchen, she was told that there was no one there. Her sisters also confirmed that the man had disappeared. Additional signs of future events were hinted at. The family's dog and cat immediately showed distrust towards the house, behaving erratically. Eventually, the dog passed away, and soon after, the cats abandoned the home entirely. Initially, the family encountered minor occurrences such as disappearing brooms and strange scraping noises. However, the situation escalated as birds started crashing into their windows and clocks always stopped at 3:07 a.m. They frequently had to replace landline phones, as they would mysteriously lift off the cradle until someone entered the room, then slam back down. Additionally, blue lights were observed moving throughout the house. Cindy Perron, the second youngest daughter, observed the freezer door repeatedly opening and closing while items were being thrown out. She frequently heard spirits informing her that 7 soldiers were buried in the wall. The dishwasher would activate on its own, and toilets would flush by themselves. The family would hear things breaking through windows, yet no broken glass would be discovered. The spirits would create a foul odor of decaying flesh in the house, and would regularly lift beds around 5:15 in the morning. The spirits attempted to lure Nancy to the cellar well, prompting the Perron daughters to stick together out of fear of the unknown. Andrea Perron recalls how they would move around the house in groups, even using the bathroom in 3s or more due to the menacing male presence that haunted the house. The feeling of being watched made even simple tasks like using the bathroom unsettling and uncomfortable. Roger Perron, the father, initially refused to acknowledge any supernatural occurrences in the house. Andrea Perron clarifies that this denial was a coping mechanism for him, as he felt powerless in controlling his surroundings. However, his spouse was greatly impacted. Allegedly, Carolyn Perron initially experienced haunting experiences involving pinching and slapping. Some individuals have stated that she would experience intense pains that seemed to mimic being pricked by a sewing needle. The family thought that their mother was being harassed by one of the numerous spirits in the house, known as Bathsheba. Carolyn Perron researched the past of the Arnold estate and discovered that there were potentially multiple fatalities that occurred there. The estate has a history dating back to 1680, when it was given to the Richardson family after being surveyed by John Smith, a Virginia colonist. Subsequently, the land was divided and sold to various families in the vicinity, with the Arnold family acquiring a portion that led to the estate being named after them. Supposedly, a 93-year-old woman named Mrs. John Arnold from the wealthy Arnold estate family committed suicide by hanging in the barn. There may have been other women who also took their own lives by hanging in the house. Additionally, it is rumored that there was a blacksmith shop on the property where 2 men died from freezing to death. Additionally, there is a story about a woman named Bathsheba who was accused of causing the death of a baby under her care. The infant was discovered deceased with a needle lodged at the back of its head, leading to fatal convulsions. Although Bathsheba was cleared of the accusation, she faced rejection from the community and was rumored to be involved in satanic practices. According to Andrea Perron, the spirit of Bathsheba believed herself to be the dominant figure in the household, and harbored animosity towards the author's mother for challenging her perceived authority. The Perron family observed Carolyn undergo a noticeable transformation. She started dressing in attire reminiscent of a different era and began speaking in old-fashioned language. Initially, the family assumed it was due to Carolyn's passion for history and her interest in immersing herself in her hobby. Was Bathsheba Sherman a real person, a woman driven to madness by the harsh realities of her time? Or was she simply a figment of a community's collective imagination? Historical records offer glimpses into Bathsheba's life, but the truth, as with most legends, remains elusive, shrouded in speculation and hearsay. The legend of Bathsheba Sherman adds a chilling layer to the haunting of the Conjuring house, her purported presence serving as a constant reminder of the darkness that permeated the property. However, when Carolyn's well-being became a worry, Ed and Lorraine Warren arrived at the Perron family's home. The Warrens were known as paranormal investigators, with Ed specializing in demonology and Lorraine being a medium. They first met at 16 and tied the knot in 1945. Their interest in haunted houses began after Ed left art school following World War II, and they started traveling around New England to sell his artwork to tourists. Ed was interested in rumored haunted locations, so he would visit them and start sketching the houses from a distance. Lorraine would then show Ed's drawings to the residents of the homes, leading to invitations for the Warrens to enter these supposedly haunted houses and speak with the families about their experiences. In 1952, the couple established the New England Society for Psychic Research, NESPR, to look into reported hauntings and assist those affected by them. Their investigative work began at the Arnold estate on the eve of Halloween in 1973. Andrea Perron explained in a question and answer session that the Warrens were not contacted by anyone in her family. They unexpectedly showed up at the Perron residence. The Warrens became aware of the Perrons due to a person posing as Carolyn Perron, who reached out to a young man and his paranormal investigation group from Rhode Island College. After the young man visited their home and had a deeply unsettling experience, he took it upon himself to contact Ed and Lorraine Warren on behalf of the family. After a year and a half of examining the Arnold estate and the parents, the Warrens determined that a séance was needed for Carolyn. Andrea explains that the séance was much more intense than what could be shown in a movie. It did not take place in the cellar but in the dining room, and she realized at that moment that evil was present. She mentions that a priest and a medium were brought to the house along with a full technical crew attempting to film the event, inadvertently unlocking a door that could not be shut. The psychic welcomed the spirits, and one of them harmed my mother. Although she may have been possessed briefly, I witnessed the event firsthand. It was clear to me that the entity that attacked her was otherworldly. It communicated through her in an unknown language and even levitated her in her chair. In a sudden movement, it contorted her body and then swiftly threw her about 20 feet away into another room. When Roger Perron attempted to rush to his wife's side, Ed Warren stopped him by grabbing his arm. In response, Mr. Perron turned around and punched Warren, causing him to fall to the ground despite being twice his size. Perron then instructed the Warrens to gather all their equipment, including the medium, priest, technical crew and audio personnel, and demanded that they leave and never return. Perron was adamant about halting the Warrens' investigation due to the distress caused to his wife during the séance, which was witnessed by 4 of their 5 children unintentionally. After the séance, there was a period of silence from the spirits that lasted for a few months. Despite this, Andrea's mother continued to deteriorate. The Perron family had no choice but to remain in the house because of their financial situation. Eventually, in 1980, they were able to and had to move out, as Andrea's mother expressed that she wouldn't make it through another winter. The Perrons relocated to a newly constructed farm in Georgia in an attempt to start fresh, but they were unable to completely leave behind the trauma they had experienced at the old Arnold estate. Andrea describes how this led to her parents' divorce, which started with a lack of trust. Her father began to suspect that they were hiding things from him, which eventually led to him experiencing his own incidents and episodes. However, by the time this happened, the damage had already been done. Their 5 daughters had stopped confiding in him, and their mother had emotionally distanced herself from him. They believed that by leaving the farm, they were also leaving the spirits behind. But this turned out to be far from reality. Strong connections were established and have endured throughout their lives. Once touched by a spirit, a permanent door is opened that cannot be shut. Even if one tries to ignore or deny it, eventually, the presence of the spirit will make itself known by reaching out and making its existence felt. Andrea reveals that the Warrens stated that the investigation of the old Arnold estate haunting was the most compelling, intense, disturbing, and significant one they had ever carried out. As we stand on the precipice of understanding, having journeyed through the chilling tales, the compelling evidence, and the skeptical arguments surrounding the Conjuring house, one question remains: what is the truth? Is this unassuming farmhouse in Rhode Island truly a portal to another realm, a place where the veil between the living and the dead is thin and easily pierced? Or is it simply a testament to the power of belief, a blank canvas upon which our fears and fascinations have painted a terrifying masterpiece? The evidence, while intriguing, remains largely anecdotal, open to interpretation, and subject to the biases of those who experience it. Perhaps the truth lies somewhere in the shadows, in the space between belief and skepticism, where the rational and the irrational collide. Perhaps the Conjuring house is a place where the energy of past tragedies lingers, a place where the echoes of trauma and despair resonate through time, influencing the experiences of those sensitive to such energies. Or perhaps the house is simply a house, its walls holding no more darkness than any other structure that has witnessed the joys and sorrows of human existence. Ultimately, the decision of whether to believe in the haunting of the Conjuring house rests with each individual. What do you believe? From the chilling accounts of the Perron family to the controversial investigations of Ed and Lorraine Warren, we've delved into the heart of one of America's most infamous hauntings. We've explored the historical context, the legends, and the skepticism surrounding this chilling location, leaving you with more questions than answers. Now it's your turn to weigh in. What do you think really happened at the Conjuring house? Share your thoughts, your own encounters, or even your skepticism in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe for more spine-tingling explorations into the unknown. Remember, some truths are stranger than fiction. Sleep tight.